Educate, inspire, change. Educate yourself, inspire others, change the world. So on today's podcast, I have a great guy. He's a true eco-warrior in every sense of the word. His name is Stephen Brooks, and he's the co-founder of one of the most immersive festival experiences in the world, the Envision Festival in Costa Rica. He's also founder of Punta Mona Centre for Regenerative Design and Botanical Studies, which has off-the-grid permaculture farms and an educational retreat centre on the Caribbean coast of Costa Rica. He has started several ecological communities in Costa Rica and is now launching the Ecoversity. Online and offline, it's an educational program for change and is now fully engaged in a global redesign. Stephen, it's a pleasure to have you online.
Great to be here. Thanks.
Awesome. So I can see you're in Costa Rica just now.
Yep. I'm here actually outside of the town of Cahuita on the Caribbean side, in transit from where I live in Ecovilla to my farm on the Caribbean, Punta Mona.
Awesome. So give me a bit of background for people that don't know you. Let me know where you started, how you got into being such an eco-warrior, what led you to Costa Rica. Just give me your story,
Great. Yeah, sounds great. So yeah, I grew up in North Miami, Florida, in the suburbs, and I guess the word I want to bring up right from the beginning is the word design. The suburbs emerged because of a series of realities, and in many ways it was a beautiful. I'm not complaining. My childhood was incredible, but it wasn't until I did a semester abroad in Spain, and I lived in this apartment complex, which was like 10 buildings all next to each other. And it had 2 4-lane roads on either side, but you never needed to go to those roads because the downstairs of each building was commercial. You had restaurants and bars and nail and hair places and game rooms for kids, and everything was there. And you never had to go to the streets. You can walk right through one building to the next. And everywhere, like every day, I was living with this elderly woman that I called abuela, grandmother. And people used to just drop their kids off at her place. And we would walk in the street to go grocery shopping, and everyone would be like, hola, abuela, hola, Mario, hola, Pablo, hola, abuela. Mm-hmm. It was just like, it felt like Sesame Street. And it was really just an incredible taste of what it feels like to live in community. And I started thinking about it. Wow, it's really based on just the way the place is designed, So I really started thinking how physical design fosters community. So I grew up, like I said, in Miami. My dad was a dentist of an island in the Bahamas, so I spent a lot of my childhood going back and forth to the Bahamas, to Bimini, to the islands. And so I had a very deep connection with nature from a young age, really through the ocean. And nice. In 1995, I first came to Costa Rica on vacation. And while I was down here, I fell in love with the country, how beautiful it was, and the jungles and the beaches and the rivers and the people. And it wasn't until I ended up going to driving towards a town called Bribri, which is the administrative center of the indigenous people. And I watched a playground full of indigenous children get sprayed by a Chiquita banana crop duster with neurotoxic chemicals. The plane flew over. I felt my face and my eyes burning, and it was a serious, just shock to my system, a shock to my reality. Like, how could this be happening? How in this day and age could we be treating these beautiful indigenous people, spraying them with neurotoxic chemicals so we can have bananas that don't have marks on them? And so I continued to drive into the plantation. And then all of a sudden, this metal cable thing came down in front of my car. And I just sat there and I watched as the banana bunches, were moving in front of me. It was like, giant green, fake looking bunch after bunch after bunch. And then after 20 or 30 bunches, there was this indigenous man hanging from the same cable, moving them along like this. And he stopped right in front of my rent-a-car. And he stared me right in the soul. And we just looked at each other, which felt, it might have been 10 or 15, 20 seconds just staring at each other. And it felt like 10 or 15 or 20 million years, just like staring into his eyes and thinking and looking at his beautiful features and this beautiful, gentle man. And why am I sitting in this air-conditioned rent-a-car with my pretty Italian girlfriend in the passenger seat? And here's this guy on, set up in the nice eco lodge with the reservation at the nice restaurant in town for dinner, while this man and his family are living nearby in a toxic hell, growing bananas for my culture. And it just was like, from deep slumber to just like jolted awake. Like, how can this be happening? How can we be treating these beautiful people this way? How can we be treating the earth this way and these ecosystems? Is this really the best we could do, humanity? Is this really the best design we could be doing? And
what age were you at this time? Yeah.
What's that?
What age were you at this time?
I was like 21, and just, I wasn't that environmental. It wasn't, I was into nature, but I wasn't like, I was like a radical environmentalist or anything. But it literally jolted me, on an environmental level, but also just on a social level. Like, how are we doing this to these beautiful people? And what is this system? And who is to blame for this? And then as I sat there, I realized that I was to blame. I realized that me and my culture, so I could be able to slice my bananas and my cereal in the morning. Basically, who is paying the cost for that? And the bananas was just one, and I realized that, the bananas are just one of many industries that are destroying people's lives and are destroying ecosystems. And how can we call ourselves intelligent? And how can we be living in a time where we're doing such injustice and such environmental degradation? And how can we be able to sleep at night knowing that we're supporting industries that are so destructive and sad? And so, my brain started going like, what could I possibly do about this? I'm 21 years old, white kid from Miami. Like, what can I possibly do about this? And so I literally immediately decided I was going to move to Costa Rica. I started an educational tour company for high school, junior high school, and college students. I felt like it's really too hard to teach adults. Adults already know everything, or at least we think we do.
I think they do.
So I really start with young people and create experiences that would be transformational, that where, there'd be like a real clear before and after. Before I went on this trip to Costa Rica, I was one way and I thought one way. And now after this trip, I have a whole other lens that I'm seeing things through. And then I wanted to show the beauty of Costa Rica, but I also wanted to show this reality through the trips. And then I wanted to show solutions. I don't want to send the students home all depressed and, helpless. I wanted to try to show a solution to this poor design, because that's really all it is. So I started, and that's where Punta Mona came into place. Punta Mona became a canvas to start showing solutions, and not because I knew them, but I knew I wanted to dedicate myself to finding them. And this came from like, where's our water coming from? Where's our food coming from? Where's our electricity coming from? Where's our building materials coming from? How are we treating each other? What does it feel like when we wake up in the morning? What's the difference between me, who owns the farm, and my manager and my employees and the people that clean the rooms and the volunteers and the interns and the guests? Like, what is that? What's the difference? And how can we radically shift our sense of fairness and of design? Because you have the physical design, the way you set up the agriculture, the way you build the buildings, the way you set up the water systems and the electricity. But how are we going to set up social systems that feel fair? And again, now it's been 25 years, and our farm, Punta Mona, has one of the largest collections of useful plants on the planet Earth. We've been all over all over collecting plants that that make life better. I consider myself an ethnobotanist, and ethnobotany is the study between the relationship between humans and plants. And this relationship is
Beautiful.
so vast. And this relationship is so deep. And this relationship is so important. And somehow we've lost touch. We've lost the understanding of the importance and the depth of this relationship. So a part of my mission has really been to kind of reestablish that relationship and to find fun and exciting ways to remind people how intertwined and how important the plants are in their realities.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you've obviously done and achieved so much in those 25 years. What was your background? Did you have an education, or are you purely self-taught in this field?
Yeah, I had zero education, and the reality is the things that I wanted to learn, there really still isn't. That's like the kind of the impetus behind the ecoversity. There really isn't very formal ways to learn the most important lessons. What it feels like is building
Yeah,
homes that are healthy and are fair and good to the earth, and growing food in ways that is good to the earth and good for our bodies. There wasn't really places to learn that. So we wanted to try our best to do that. And then we wanted to just try to become examples. And it's interesting. We taught the first permaculture courses ever in Costa Rica, and people just started flocking to volunteer, to come be a part of what we were doing at Punta Mona. And permaculture came to my scope in 1998. A guy showed up and told me about the word and the concept. And I could share a little bit about permaculture for those that don't know. It's two words: permanent culture, and it was coined by a guy named Bill Mollison and his student David Holmgren in the 1970s in Tasmania, Australia. And it was an interesting time because it was right at the shift where people went from growing most of their own food, where people, dealt with their own water and their own waste, where they still bought things that they knew the first and last name of the person that grew it or made it. And it started to shift. All of a sudden, you had big companies, from Sydney and from the cities in the mainland of Australia coming over and installing massive septic systems and big water treatment plants, and big food stores started coming in, importing, foods from Europe and from other parts of Australia, where what happens is you start losing, permaculture is about maintaining culture. And there's so much culture.
yeah,
That's why ethnobotany is like, there's so much culture around our plants and around our food and around our design. So that once that starts shifting, it really radically starts changing. And so Bill Mollison and his student David Holmgren were like, wait a minute, we need to press pause and figure out if there's a better way to design things. So permaculture isn't an agricultural system, which many people think. It's an ecological design philosophy, which constantly has that lens on with how can I do whatever I'm trying to do and use less of the planet's resources and walk gentler and be kinder and be more fair. And that's involved in every decision and everything we do. There's a word that I love. It's called EROI, and it stands for energy returned on energy invested. Everything we're doing, relationships like that, like what am I giving? What am I getting? And how can I do better? And how can I support things that improve people's lives rather than hurt it? How can I support and buy things and consume products that make the world better rather than be destructive? So permaculture is an amazing tool, and it's really a tool in global design. And I feel like so many of us, it's like things are the way they are, whether it's our cities and our roads and our gasoline and our stores and our money and our schooling and our medicines and all of it. It's just like, we just think, okay, that's just the way it is. And we just kind of, dive into that matrix, and we just accept and endure things, even if we know they don't feel right. We just take it. So
yeah,
permaculture really gives the empowerment and the confidence and the toolkit to realize wait a minute, we have a say. We can do things differently. We can become resilient. And, in this, through the whole COVID reality, it's like the word resilience is becoming so important. Like people for the first time are realizing, wow, how many things am I getting from stores and where are they coming from? And and how much from the outside do I really need to what is it that's actually filling me and putting a smile on my face.
Wow, so profound. And like, obviously, like you have gained so much knowledge by doing this over 25 years, and you've been in Costa Rica, so you've focused mainly in Costa Rica. Have you seen what you're doing happen anywhere else around the world, or do you find that it's not happening anywhere?
It's a great question. Um, and it brings me back to such an epic story that my friend Zach Zaidman
Yeah.
said to me. I remember, like, I was having all these visions, I was having all these dreams, I was having all this clarity about what the world needed. And I was, I remember sitting with him and when I first met him and saying, yeah, we need to create these urban models, these urban centers, urban oasis, and we need to create rural communities where we produce these products, and we need to create caravans, vegetable oil caravans and sailboats that move the things around. We need to get off of that old system. And I was just like telling him, and he looked at me and he's like, Stephen, there are so many of us seeing that same movie. And it's such an interesting reality, it's like so many of us are seeing these same ideas and these same visions. Some of us, we're all somewhere on the spectrum of the clarity that we're seeing it, and the understanding and the know-how to actually move forward on those visions. But yeah, this has been going on for so long. I mean, in the late 60s, with the psychedelic revolution in the late 60s, people were like, whoa, we're totally being tricked. We got to go back to the land. We got to get off of these systems. And I think part of the problem was it was a little just too out there and too, you don't want to drop, it was like turn in, tune in, drop out. You don't want to drop out. We want to drop in. We want to drop in and merge. Things are this way. And there's going to be a transition. There's going to be a transition from the way things were to the way that we're dreaming them to be. And there's very clear next steps. And there's very clear replicable models that we can start painting all over. And there's people all over the world that are doing it. And are different steps along the way. I think, I was a big Deadhead. I don't know where the audience is from, if people are familiar with the Grateful Dead, but it was a really important movement in the US in the late 60s and 70s and 80s and into the 90s that carried this torch from the 60s, and there used to be stickers on the cars in the parking lots, and it said, "We are everywhere," and we are, whether you're in Himalayan or you're in Peru or you're in Costa Rica or you're in the UK. Everywhere you'll see that people are tuning in. People are realizing the importance of organic food, and people are realizing the importance of love and family and kindness. It's like this is just happening. It's like we all have this antenna, and the channel is telling us, like, listen, let's really tap into another way to do things. So yeah, I think I have so much faith more than ever that this is happening, and it's the download is happening all over the world.
Whilst in Costa Rica last year, I came across a guy by the name of Anthony Walsh, who handed me a bottle of hemp extract CBD oil. And after just taking a few drops, I was sold. I immediately felt more relaxed, less stressed. I found the quality of my sleep improved, and it even helped me with my meditation practices. The reason this product stands out for me was Anthony himself is passionate about healing the world one person at a time, and has personally invested thousands of hours researching CBD and cannabinoids in order to fully understand how to help guide others to receive the maximum benefits of taking hemp oil extracts. His company is called Eco-Life Supplements, and I highly recommend it to anyone that wants to have a better, happier, and healthier life. It's 100% natural, organically grown, all natural and non-GMO guaranteed for your best experience. To order yours now, please visit ecolifesupplements.com and quote coupon code INSPIRECHANGE for a 10% discount, and they are currently only delivering in the US. Your faith is infectious because I can feel it here already, I feel your energy and it's so powerful. I have to ask, you touched on the Grateful Dead and psychedelics and things like this. Have you had experience yourself with plant medicines or psychedelics?
Oh yeah, I have. And it's profound. And my concern is that I think it was such an impetus for things that happened in the 60s, but the people just got too wrapped up in it. And I see it the same thing happening with the ayahuasca movement and, and the psychedelics now. My fear is that I think it's this incredible tool. And a great teacher that I know, Seven Song, he used to say, it's really important to we don't want to just look through the window. We want to step through the door, so you don't want to dance in this like psychedelic, flurry. We want to do these things. So we need to be present and we need to be active and we need to be on our A game and we need to be effective. Yeah. And, I think that the psychedelics are an amazing tool to get these downloads, and my concern is that people are just wanting more and more and more and more and more downloads before they can even, really integrate the first one that they had,
Yeah.
So I think it's a really important tool, and and personally, I don't really partake in really anything anymore, because I'm just trying to engage and execute, and
Yeah. So that's very much in alignment with my journey, because I done ayahuasca for the first time 18 months ago, and that really triggered a big change and transformation in my life. But like you said, I realized, understood the importance of integration. So part of my integration process, I've almost like I physically had to relocate. So I'm moving to Costa Rica. I'm taking my family. I'm trying to be the change that I want to see in the world, So I feel like I'm taking my downloads and learnings and I'm really trying to apply them to my life. But like you mentioned, like your fear is that people might be miseducated or not treating the medicines with the respect they deserve by integrating the teachings, Do you think it might be valuable for people like you who are in the position you're in to maybe try to not only educate the youth about permaculture and living sustainably, but also educate them on the benefits of maybe plant medicines and how to integrate them properly, because I've been to a few retreats lately where in Costa Rica, and they focus a lot on integration, and I think it's a great thing, but I feel like the next generation coming up, people who are teenagers just now who are going to be practicing medicines in the future, it would be great for them to be educated now before they do them for the first time, What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I avoided really publicly even talking about it. This is kind of even a new, for me, some of my profound experiences were, in the mid 90s, and it's here we are 25 years later. It's like, and I've been, doing this work for so long, and I rarely really spoke about it, maybe just like in really private arenas. Now with, the Michael Pollan book and all the work that Paul Stamets is doing, and it's feeling more and more comfortable to actually talk about it on a public platform like this. I think it's really important work, and I'm really glad that people are doing it, and I don't really feel like it's my work. I feel like
fair enough.
I will always share what I feel about it. It's like I want to physically design. I want to plant millions of native trees. I want to plant millions of fruit trees. I want to help set up processing plants, and I want to help buy land, and I want to help raise money and spread the word. We can't do everything, So and there's amazing people that are, our friends at MAPS, MAPS is like just doing amazing work with, psychedelic, integration, and I think it's great. Yeah. And so I think it's important. Yet I just don't feel like it's the path that I'm a fruit tree evangelist. And
it's amazing.
I'm really excited about the physical design. I'm happy to plant the ayahuasca and to make sure that it's in the system. But I don't know if that's the work that I'm focused on.
Yeah, no, I hear you, because when I was doing plant medicine, I was trying to discover my own purpose, find out my own calling, Obviously, I created this platform, Educate, Inspire, Change, years ago. So I knew that I wanted to be, an activist of some sorts and to make the world a better place. But I find my purpose is using my talents of communication, of inspiring people to become the best version of themselves. And that means letting people find their purpose and pushing them in that direction, So I think you're a perfect example of that. that, you know, you found something at the age of 21 that really tugged at your heartstrings, that really made you feel passionate, and you've just pursued that passion. And 25 years later, you've made such a big difference in the world already, you know. And I can imagine you're going to be doing this for the rest of your life. So where do you envision the future, like the next 5-10 years for you? You've already built these big communities, permaculture farms. What's your plans now? Where do you see yourself going? And yeah, just tell me more about the future. What do you see?
Great. So, let me tell that story a little bit. So Punta Mona grew, and the tours were running, and all that was happening, and the plant collecting was going on. And then in 2005, my father and I raised some money, and we started what's now called La Ecovia. And it is now 45 families from 22 countries. We brought together an incredible team, and there's 45 children in the school that the parents co-created, and and at the same time up the street we started another community called Taco Tal, and Taco Tal is around another 25 families. And then 2 years ago, right next to the two communities, we started another one called Alegria Village, which is 120 more families, and we're creating an elder village, and we're working right now on creating a high school and a kind of digital nomad zone and event space. And and like you mentioned in the beginning, I'm one of the co-founders of the Envision Festival, which right before the quarantine happened, we had 10,000 people from like over 60 countries gathered here in Costa Rica. And so I'm excited about these kind of transformational gatherings. And so I started thinking, how can I merge all of this work that I'm doing, the agriculture and the education and the community design and the events? Like, what would a world look like if we're going to roll all of those into one? And I started thinking a lot about this whole idea of climate change, and like, what a big task. Like, what are we going to do about it? Like, if I bring my cloth bags to the grocery store, am I going to help the polar bears? Like, how can I do something that's going to actually have a massive impact? And it hit me, the size that just came to me in the download as my channel was on was 1,000 hectares at a time. 1,000 hectares is 2,400 acres. And wow. The idea is, what would I do on 1,001 hectares? Like, what would the percentage look like in an ideal world? And and part of the criteria when we're looking for the land is that, and same with the communities that we started, Ecovia and Alegria, the land that we bought was completely degraded pasture land. So the idea is we're going to come in and regenerate it. So rather than development coming in and destroying things, our developments come and regenerate. Like, if you look at Google Maps at our community, it's like a green island surrounded by pastures. And so the idea of now the project is called 1001, redesigning the earth 1,001 hectares at a time. And it merges conservation, it merges reforestation, regenerative agriculture, education, community, and then like this festival event space where we can host 1,000 people 5 days a month. Every month, 5 days, 1,000 people, like a factory, like a transformational factory where people come and they get to take a bite. They get to taste how freaking delicious it is to live in ecological community, to be surrounded by like-minded people, to be in a place that is thriving and regenerating and reforested. And, I kind of broke it down into percentages. So if you have 1,000 hectares, imagine 5 to 15% is already an existing forest, so you conserve it. The next 30 to 40%, we reforest it, radically reforest it. Meanwhile, when you reforest, you have all these in-betweens. We could still grow cacao and vanilla and black pepper and these in between the natives. And then you take the next 5, 10, 15% and you plant wood and bamboo for the future homes for our children and our grandchildren. And then the next 30, 40% is on full-on regenerative agriculture. And with my experience at Punta Mona and the plant collecting that we've done, we plant diverse superfood food forests. And then we create state-of-the-art food processing plants that turn all of this abundance into products, into non-perishable products. And then we have have this all merged with community. So you have, you know, local community that's probably working in the farm and doing that kind of work. And then you have foreign community, the people that come in from San Jose or come in from other countries, and there's real estate happening. They're buying land. And then the workers, we come up with transactions that are fair, where people like that are coming from the outside maybe just need a little bit smaller homes. And you see people are realizing it. Meanwhile, we're going to create so much abundance that the workers in the farm are going to have bigger homes, and we can have these communities that are more merged. You know, it's not like, oh, I live up on the foreign, you know, people live up on the hill while the farm workers live in the slums down below. No, we can change that now. And then, you know, we merge 1,000 families living there with a downtown, with, imagine like a town square with the restaurant and the health food store and the alternative clinic and the coffee shop. And then above that, everybody doesn't want a quarter acre, a half acre. Some people might want to live in apartments above this commercial area around the town square. And then you can even go 2 or 3 streets off of that. So you have this urban speck in the middle of this 1,001 hectares. And then you create the event space. That's the permanent event space. And what starts to happen, and then you have the ecoversity, you have the schooling, you have the high school and the primary school. And then you have enough internal commerce that people don't need to leave to work. And I think that's kind of been one of the problems in eco-villages around the world, is like they haven't been big enough. There hasn't been enough critical mass to have the internal commerce and economy. And you go to communities in northern Italy called Damanhur. Amazing example. There's an amazing one in Portugal called Tamara. There's another one, Findhorn, in Scotland. There's all of these communities. What can we learn from them? What's working? What's not working? What can we improve upon? This is the time for the global redesign. How can we do something that works and then replicate it globally?
Amen, brother. I'm literally hanging on your every word. You know that? Because everything that you're saying is perfectly in alignment with what I've been going through for the last 18 months. You know, these are the thoughts that I've been having, like for myself. Like I found my purpose, I found my calling, and I've said, I need to move to Costa Rica. I need to be in alignment with nature. I need to raise my kids in this kind of environment. And then I'm thinking about the future, and I'm thinking about communities. I'm thinking about raising my children in an environment and space where they can be close to their neighbors, and we can feed off the land, and we can live sustainably. So everything you're saying is just, I believe it's very synchronistic, the fact we're even talking, because I feel like I've been having this conversation with other people, but now it's been manifested in reality, and I'm having it with you, who's actually living embodiment of what I've been saying. You know, I don't need to go and build my own community. I can just come and join yours, you know, so it's amazing.
The first thing I said, you're like, oh yeah, I want to come to Costa Rica and build a community. I was like, maybe you do, but maybe you just want to join existing. I hear the howler monkeys behind me. Just heard them screaming.
Yeah, they're amazing. Yeah, they're amazing. It's amazing, man. So
I'm so excited you're coming here. I have a feeling we have exciting work to do together with ecoversity. You know, I feel like the work and the success that you had, you need to keep doing it, and you need to be training. So I feel like everything that we're doing, we need to be training people to keep, to really recreate our communities, recreate media, recreate all of the pieces that kind of just happen randomly. What permaculture is, it's about becoming intentional, merged with efficient. How can we become intentional and efficient? So we need to redesign all the different aspects of reality.
Beautiful. I'm going to put something out there, and we'll just see what manifests from it, because I believe that when you verbalize things, they become ideas, and then ideas become reality, But for the past year, I've been traveling around Costa Rica with, I started with just one cameraman, and I wanted him to film my journey doing ayahuasca for the first time, And then it evolved into me having my own almost like production company, and the projects are getting bigger and bigger, and we're creating a whole documentary series now of me just traveling around, going to amazing retreats, yoga retreats, ayahuasca retreats, whatever it is, just to sample the different medicines, the different modalities that they have. And I really see how I can bring a spotlight on what you're doing and inspire other people to do the same. I would really love to see your festival, see your retreats, see your your schools, your farms, everything, and bring my camera crew with me, film it all, and really package it in such a way where we can show this to the world. Turn it into viral content, turn it into short films, into documentaries, and show this to schools, show this to children, spread it around the world. So that, because what we're doing is we're planting seeds. That's what I want to do. I want to plant seeds, and I feel like you're an amazing example of that. You're doing it physically, and you can also do it mentally as well. Just by you living the way you are, and by me sharing your message for you, we can plant this seed, and in 25 years' time, we can have another 25 Stephen Brooks around the world. Doing what you're doing, and think how much of an amazing place it would be then.
But yeah, no, I'm excited for you to come. I think we have great things to do together. I am more confident than ever. I'm ready to scream louder than I ever have, from higher up than I ever have. And
beautiful.
And yeah, I feel like it's all unfolding.
Oh yeah, I'm buzzing. I'm really excited to meet you in person. I'm hoping that this what do you call it? The flight travel ban is lifted soon. They say it's going to be lifted on the 1st of July, so I'm really hoping that's the case. And if so, then I'll be in the first plane.
Awesome. Can't wait. Can't wait to host you.
Beautiful, brother. So yeah, just lastly, before we wrap up, is there anything else you want to share? Any projects you have, any websites, any organizations that you want to tell my audience about?
Yeah, I think the thing that's the thing that's about is the Ecoversity. It's ecoversity.org. And we're just like weeks away from launching our first 4 courses, which are really exciting. One's just a regular permaculture course online I'm teaching with my friend Penny Livingston. We're doing a regenerative communities design course with Kara, who's my partner in Alegria, which is going to be with my girlfriend. We're teaching a course called Embody Your Purpose, which is just about designing your life inside and out. She's more of like cultivating the internal garden, and I'm like, let's create that physical dream that you're dreaming. And then the 4th one is my friend Itai and his wife Melina are teaching a course on just ecological homesteading, and it's just like step by step how to create your homestead. So the fact that there's not more things like this happening is shocking. So I'm so excited about the Ecoversity. I'm so excited about 1001. I'm excited about all the media and speaking louder. I'm excited for people to come experience Punta Mona, because when we started the idea wasn't an online course. It was a semester program at Punta Mona, which we'll see what happens, but we're excited and we're ready.
Yeah, I'd love to talk to you about collaborating with your online courses as well. Maybe we could do some kind of partnership online where I'm sharing your content on all my articles on my Facebook page, and we can maybe even have you on as a sponsor for the podcast or something. We'll figure something out, yeah?
Love it. So excited. Happy to do it.
Beautiful, brother. I'm super excited. Educate, inspire, change. Educate yourself, inspire others, change the world. I'm proud to say that one of the first sponsors I have for this podcast is Rhythmia Life Advancement Centre. Rhythmia is a unique and special place to me. It's a healing resort fused with ayahuasca, meditation, breathwork, yoga, and lots of other metaphysical teachings. And they really sent me on a journey of healing and self-discovery that ultimately led to the creation of this podcast. So I really do owe Rhythmia a lot. And if you would like to go there and have a healing journey of your own, please visit them on their website at rhythmia.link/can, spelled Khan, or give them a call on 877-835-1806 and receive a free shuttle worth $300 off your trip. For the last year and a half, I've been working on a documentary called Pantera. It's a documentary series, and each series will follow me around a different plant medicine retreat. The first episode, Pantera, Our Plant Medicine Journey Begins, is due to be released in the coming weeks. If you would like to keep up to date with what we're doing and receive the latest updates and releases, sign your name at pantera.film.